we create beautiful things. So today I've made 7 of the same top. 7. So don't click off. What happened was I ended up making my own pattern that y'all are will be available to download. It's a pattern for more busty women. It goes from a medium to a 5X. And the reason why I stopped at 5X instead of like 8X was because the pattern started to warp. But yeah, and I have another pattern that will be coming up. It's not my pattern, it's one I found on Mood. So this is my pattern. This is original, it's for more busty women. But for the rest of y'all, I have a pattern change / review from something on Mood coming up, just to make sure, like, see how that works, see if that works for someone my size who's busty, and then I'm gonna make a couple for my brand as well. Every design that you see, except for the one on me, is available on my website, and the reason I'm keeping this isn't just because I'm greedy. It has a thing that's kind of weird when it's flat, and it just won't look good when I try to take pictures of it, so this one stays on me. And you can see these are my 7. Some of them are too big for me to model today, so I'll have pictures of it on the mannequin. This one is a little big. It's a 5X. When you're pattern making your own patterns, you want to test out the largest size that you've created and the smallest size. So I have this and I have this, neither of which fit me. So you're seeing them now, and there are pictures of them on a mannequin for sale on my website, but I will not be modeling them as I can't afford models for my brand yet. And I would need a 5X and a medium who's happens to be kind of busty. As you can see, what I love about this pattern is that some of it is reversible, meaning if you're into that top stitch look, which I am, what you can do is put it together as per my instructions in the video, and then take a top stitch pattern if you have one on your sewing machine. If not, you could always just use a zigzag, and just go over it to make like this decorative stitch. I'm not sure if you can see the red there. So this one is in the school colors of the school in the town that I live in, Athens, Georgia. So this is the red and black for the Bulldogs. I was considering putting a, you know, a little bulldog on it, but then I couldn't figure out how to do that while keeping it reversible. I want it to be reversible. These other ones might not all fit me. We'll see today. But I will show you step by step on this one, and maybe I'll show you another one in the future because there wasn't enough fabric to really show you how to work the pattern. That might be a next week's video thing, but this one is bright yellow and in a couple of pieces. You could do so many variations with this pattern. Like here I have one that's more of a tank style, and I have a couple that are not reversible. This one I'm going to tie-dye, and it's not reversible because it has black. I think when I tie-dye it though, it'll be reversible again. This is a great solution if you don't know how to, if you get dressed in the dark or something and you're like, you know, get me out of this. This one I might do something with dyeing, or I might just keep it as is. And this yellow one, I am definitely going to be dyeing it. It's a little sheer right now, and the fabric's a little thinner and less stretchy than what you're gonna want to do. So I'm gonna fix that. Oh, a few rules for this pattern. So this pattern can only be used on stretchy material, so knit. And you want something that's like a thicker knit and has a lot of fabric. This fabric was kind of perfect, but I did have to switch needles. I think I have some of that shown in the footage. T-shirt fabric is really ideal. You want something that has a high stretch, so this wasn't the easiest to work with. I did have to add panels. But all of that being said, and that was a lot, this is a very long intro, I'm sorry about that. Welcome to the video. Please stay tuned to see how I make it, and you can download this pattern for free on my website. However, because it was a lot of work and involved a lot of pattern grading, I would really appreciate if you could leave a tip at the end of checking out. Again, so not necessary, and if you don't want to, don't even worry about it, but I would really appreciate it. Anyway, here are the instructions. Before we get to the instructions, I just want to show you how I did this in Illustrator. When you have a pattern, this is before I graded it, so I'm just testing my size. When you have a pattern, you have to use multiple artboards on Illustrator, then export it to a PDF, and then print from the PDF. Also being careful to count the margins there. So I have my pattern pieces printed out. There are about 8 pages. The first thing I noticed is that the font is massive, so that's a pretty rookie mistake, but I can definitely fix that on the final ones. That's an easy one to fix. I just wanted to put them on Illustrator before finishing fixing them because one, the patterns themselves were becoming a bit Frankenstein. And 2, I think I'm getting really close, so I want to test these before I start, you know, size grading them and making the variants for straight sizes and non-busty sizes. What I'm going to do next is just tile all the pieces together and test it out on this bright yellow fabric. I know this is a lot, but I will be tie-dyeing it when I'm finished to be black and yellow. I think that would look really cool. So I'm just going to tile it together and start cutting it out. Alright, I've got it pinned together. I did have to crop it, and I'll just keep track of that crop by measuring and making sure to do the same fold on the underbust piece, but it just wouldn't fit the other way. Now I could just take it all the way to the bottom and then measure, but I don't actually want this hem because as nice as it is sometimes to work with a finished hem, there's a lot of pressure to keep it even. I changed my mind. I'm going to unfold it and then just cut to the hem. Alright, I marked with a pencil where the new hem will be so that I'll know how tall to make the, or how much to chop off of the front, so that'll match, but yeah, I talked myself into it. I actually like the look of this hem, and you know, these don't actually need to be hemmed, but sometimes it's nice to have a hem, so I'm going to now pin all of these and cut them all out. I wanted to mention seam allowances real quick. There will be seam allowance on the final pattern, but for this one, since I'm just making, or kind of mocking it up, I have a very small seam allowance here, because it's going to be a serged edge on the side. Same with the top, that'll be a very small seam allowance. And I'm doing a significantly bigger one for under the shoulders, because that might have to be a double fold, or like a fold with elastic, or something like that. Alright, I copied the mark of where I had the hem on the last one over to here, matched them up, and then pinned the tank around that. And again, I'm going to do a tiny seam allowance on the side and then a tiny one right here at the top. If there was an underarm or something, I would do a little bit more, and the hem's made in, so I don't have to worry about that. So as you can see, because this fabric is very sheer, I have taken my seam allowance on the underbust piece and I'm pushing it downwards towards the underbust. You do not want it facing up towards the bust, you want it down towards the hem. I already did this middle seam. You just pick a decorative stitch that you like and that you know works with your fabric and your machine and go for it. Mine, I picked this cross hatching, although I could do stars or loop-de-loops. I could do anything here. And you can do anything that your machine is capable of, any type of zigzag or decorative stitch. I suggest ones that have a bit more stretch to them, but like this one, and I'm just gonna go ahead and sew that all the way through here to the other side, making sure that my seams are facing downward, and then I'll be ready to connect the front and back. Interesting. Okay, now it's way too tight, but I think if it were a size large instead of extra large, it would be perfect. I think this fabric isn't as stretchy as I thought it was. Take this all down. That's what's causing the issue. Anyway, I'm still going to cover stitch the arms and the sides. It makes me a little nervous. That's just not fitting, to be honest. I think this is a size large and I'm a size extra large. I think if I had made this top piece a little looser, that would have solved it. But flat, it looks so much better than the other ones. So I'm thinking I'm heading in the right direction even though it looks worse. Alright, so I think the problem is just that this fabric is not the stretchiest. I probably shouldn't have picked it, but my stretchy t-shirt fabric is becoming quite limited. I didn't want to do like overly patchwork stuff. I wanted it to just be patched, like patterned here and here. I didn't want all these different colors of things. So this is what we got. I don't love how it looks. I think it would look better on a size large than a size extra large. So I'm still going to sell it because flat wise, this has been the best so far. Like when you lay it down, it doesn't do weird things right here. I think for the pattern, I am going to change a few things, but I might not change it as drastically as I have written down because, again, I think the problem is the fabric, not the thing. But I want it to fit, like, snug, but not too snug. So maybe I will change it to my specifications. But I think I'm going to try it in my size one more time because I just washed a whole bunch of clothing that was donated, and a lot of it was t-shirts. Also, getting t-shirts at the thrift is like the easiest thing you could get. Quick note about the margins. On most patterns, you'll want them to, that you download online and tile together, you'll want to overlap them, but on these you can see that I just put them straight together. So that's how you want to do it, is so that the paper is just touching, there's no overlap, and then some of it might end up being kind of guesswork as to following the lines. That's just how pattern tiling is. If anyone knows a way to make it better or easier, please let me know, but it seems like that is the only way to do it. See how much better, ignore the Christmas pajamas, see how much better things turn out when you follow the instructions and tile things correctly? I think I could use a little bit off the top here. So I'll go ahead and make that note for my pattern, but everything else is correct. It's correct how it falls under the boobs the right way. Yeah, it seems super high up, but I have a feeling once I take it in and like sew it down, it won't be as high. It'll be like closer to here. I just gave it a really good seam allowance here and here just to make sure all my bases were covered. But besides it being a little tight at the belly, I might want to give it just a little bit more space in the center front of both of these. I'm really liking it. It's also sheer, but that's okay because I'm going to go ahead and dye it or do something. It's not going to be white in the end. Alright, so now I'm just printing out my third tester, which is this right here where I have all the different grades, and I'm cutting out the largest size, so that would be the 5X. The reason I didn't go above 5X in this pattern is because the more I looked at it, the more it began to warp what was going on, and I just feel like to make a truly better pattern, I had to stop, and maybe after like 4X, it would need to be reevaluated by itself or remade. But I did notice that Mood has a similar pattern, which I'll be testing later. and I would recommend that for everybody, but this is a more curvy fit, I feel like, with less seams, but that's really the only difference. Like after you put it all together, it looks pretty much the same. Hopefully, that's what I'm going for. So I'm just gonna cut this out, and this fabric is very thin. It's very sheer. Uh-oh, did I do this sideways? I did, okay. I'm gonna recut it and make sure that the stretch is going this way. But this fabric is very sheer. I don't know what to do about that. I would just kind of suggest wearing a bra, because I could try to make it twice. I have a lot of it, but I don't know. We'll see after I cut out this first bit. Okay, I decided to split the diff, and I'm cutting out the chest twice and everything else once. That way there'll be an extra layer of coverage there. And I'm just going to treat each second like it's, I'm going to have 2 plies of the fabric and just treat them like they're one. So for pattern testing, I think that it is right. This was pulled a little. That'll just happen when we are in the machine, but when it's on a human, it'll be tight and that will fix it. The armholes look correct, although not matched up properly, but that's user error. Which I'm surprised that the armholes look correct, but I think knowing that I can actually upsize the pattern. Don't hold me to that. I might try it and find out that doesn't work, but yeah, it's looking good. Now I just have to finish all the edges, but that doesn't really have anything to do with the pattern now, does it? I did find out that I have to recalculate the hem on the front and back, but other than that, this is good to go. So I'm going to finish this so that I can actually sell it, but anything after that, I'm gonna go ahead and make the smallest size. And I'm just going to cut along here all the way around, and because I gave this a large seam allowance, you're gonna see me trim it a little bit more after I take the pattern off. Alright, so you can ignore the cover stitching that I did. I just had to be creative to fit everything in there. So I'm gonna take every piece now that I want to sew to another piece and trim the seam allowance down, except for these two because I had to mess with them. So we're just gonna pretend like I trimmed them down, but I didn't. Anyway, actually, I'm still gonna trim them down, but you can just pay it. The same principle applies that I'm gonna show y'all here. I'm just going to take, I did it at 1/2 inch seam allowance, but because I'm on the serger, I'm going to go ahead and take it down to 1/4 inch. You don't have to worry about this if you're on your home machine, but I'm just gonna, that's a 1/2, so I'm just gonna take off 1/4 inch on every seam because I'm on the serger. If you're not on the serger, don't worry about it. Also, do not take in the hem neckline or armhole. So here I'm gonna take in here, here, and here, but I'm not going to touch this hem. And the same goes for the other ones too. You can take in other parts, but don't touch what's not going to be sewn to anything. Like if it's going to be sewn to itself, don't touch it. Now that that's trimmed, you take the 2 center fronts and you sew or serge them together, right sides together. And then you're going to do the same thing. I'll show you later. All right, now that those two are attached, you have your center front and your center front, and you want these 2 seams to align with each other. Actually, I'm going to cover stitch this first. And then you want these 2 seams to align to each other, so you put them right sides together. You might have to stretch as you're sewing. I'll definitely have to stretch as I'm sewing. You probably won't have to stretch that much. Make sure that these middle parts are together. You can even like stay stitch them together and then sew and pull these to match up. until you get all the way around. Now that I have these two pieces together, I'm just going to cover stitch along the top, and you can see that I'm pushing the seam allowance downward. You want it to be facing downward and towards the back whenever you have the option. I'm going to show you how it looks on my machine. So on the machine, I have, you can see there's more bulk on this side than this side. That's because I have the seam allowance pushed down like I was talking about. In order to cover the whole thing, I have this placed here so that it's like right between the little intake thing and this thing. And then for settings, I'm using number 21 on the Brother sewing machine. Yours might be different depending on your sewing machine, but number 21 is this zigzag. It honestly comes out looking more like this on both the front and the back, and I just feel like it's really sporty and gives a cool vibe. So this is how it turns out on the front. I'm not sure how well you can see that because I'm doing a matching color intentionally, but this is how it turns out on the back. And I'm just going to do that along the entire bust seam, and then we're going to sew the front to the back. So now that we have that, and it looks really cool on the inside with that bright red, now we're going to sew right sides together at the shoulder seams, or at the, you know, at the shoulders and the sides. And we're going to do, this is going to be corrected by the time it comes to you, but I thought I'd do the tutorial before that. It's the same thing as what we did before, where it's right sides together, we serge it or sew it, and then we fold it all to the side towards the back and cover stitch. And the last thing I need to do before I finish this off is to cut the threads, and then I'm just going to fold this all over about 1/2 inch and do the same stitch that I've been doing along here for the top stitching. If you have a thinner fabric, you may need to use a stretch interfacing or add a little bit of extra fabric like a seam before you start doing this, or just tuck extra fabric in. That's what I did for some of these, but I think this fabric is thick enough to where it will be okay. So I'm just going to make sure that my needle is like above here so that the stitch runs exactly where this edge is, and then it'll be done. Alright, so that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed and stayed till the end, and if you could go ahead and give me a like and subscribe, it would mean a lot. And again, the pattern is for free on my website, and I did lower the neckline a little. Not too much, but I do also like it with the high neck. Like, I don't know. There's something about this that you just don't get this kind of thing in my size for my body type. And you could do other fun things too, the pattern too, like if you wanted to have it be more of a corset style, you could put seam lines here as well and top stitch there. There's just so many fun things you could do with this pattern, so I'm really happy that I made it. And I do also want to mention that the sewing pattern, as I said before, it's only in like curvy sizes, starting at medium. There are more sizes available in a mood pattern that I found online. So what I think I'm going to do is next week, or whenever I get to it, hopefully next week, I will make a, or print out the pieces of the mood pattern and try to make it more like this, try to hack it a little bit on camera, so that y'all who aren't this busty and don't fit into my patterns can have something like this too. So yeah, I really just want to include everybody, but I would have to make a whole separate pattern if this doesn't work. We'll see. But I have high hopes for the mood pattern, and these are all available online, and this, except for the one that I'm keeping. So with all that having been said, I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next week hopefully, and happy sewing. Bye.